phone call or a message from a senior state officer in regards to a matter that is before the court, how would you go about that situation?
Okay, I would do what the law requires me to do. I would apply the law to the facts, and it doesn't matter what message or call I have received. I would remain faithful to my calling and to my oath of office.
Would you honor that engagement?
No.
Or discussion?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. Thank you, and I wish you well, Judge.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and welcome again, Judge. On technology vendors. How should the Supreme Court guide the judiciary in balancing technological modernization with constitutional guarantees of access to justice and data protection, especially for vulnerable and digitally marginalized groups?
Okay, so thank you. I think it's a question of continuously being diligently conscious of the environment we are in, and always looking out to make sure that some segment of the population is not left out. And in that regard, I think the concept contained in the statute is a very useful one, because it endeavors to reach those ones whose access to technology and whose geographical locations may be so far flung off to a point where they might be excluded from the judicial process. So I would think that the Supreme Court, where occasion arises, would also encourage those that kind of enterprise containing the statute, the ADR and the AGS. On the technology, on cybercrime, I think it is also a question of diligence, remaining very vigilant to make sure that the technology deployed are up to date to a point where it doesn't expose the judicial functioning to the risk of cybercrime and hijacking and frustration.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in circumstances where a constitutionally sound decision is likely to be unpopular and could create or trigger a political backlash, how would you uphold integrity, impartiality, while maintaining the court institutional legitimacy?
Okay, I understand the question, Commissioner, to be what I would do if there is a, what did you?
There's a case before you.
Yes.
And the decision would actually trigger a political backlash. So how would you maintain or even uphold integrity while maintaining the court institutional legitimacy? The decision
Yes.
might likely
Yes, I
be
got the question.
unpopular. Yes.
Yes. You could even replace that by saying the LGBTQ case.
Okay.
My view of it is that it just calls on the judges to make sure that they reflect deeply and profoundly on what the issue is, and make sure that the judgment speaks for itself, to the extent that anybody who is honest about it looks at it and says in good conscience that indeed the output from the reasoning of the judges is what the law says, and it doesn't matter that it is unpopular. What matters is that the law has been applied, and I can think of a number of cases like the LGBTQ case, the issue of CDF. The judiciary had to deal with adverse view, but I think the quality of the judgment, the way the judgment speaks for itself, speaks well for the judiciary, and helps therefore to maintain the integrity of the judiciary and the perpetuation of the judiciary, being faithful to the calling and being diligent in the work.
Okay. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair.
Yes, I know it's quite long, but almost through with it.
Thank you.
Now, on global issues, how does globalization affect constitutional law?
Globalization affect?
How does globalization affect constitutional law?
Constitutional law. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So globalization. Thank you for the question. I think globalization affects the constitution in the sense that even when you have the law, the constitution in place, issues of other jurisprudence come in, and you keep needing to cross-reference it to the constitution. And for instance, the case of BBI stands out very prominently on this, that the constitution is there, it has provided for how it is to be executed, it provides for how it is to be amended. And then an argument is introduced on basic structure. And so you can see immediately the globalization is already integrating with the constitution. And so in answer to your question, yes, the globalization affects the constitution, and the function of the judiciary is to be always on lookout and borrow what is possible and reject what is not in tandem with the constitution. And sometimes see the extent to which they can coexist. That would be my answer, Vice Chair.
How can the judiciary benefit from global networking?
I think it would benefit, first of all, in money is received and is passed on between resource input from partners, and I would think of those two as the important outputs, and also the hybrid of the law that comes then from that kind of integration and relationship.
Thank you, Honorable Sija.
Thank you, to Chair, Vice Chair.
A microphone, sorry. Thank you very much, Commissioners and Judge. I believe you are very tired by now.
I'm okay, my lady.
But we are about to complete. Just one clarification from you. When we called out for the applications, there was a list of documents you were supposed to provide. We called for these applications. The advertisement was on 13th January, and it was closing on the 17th of February. And we give instructions on how you are to apply and the documents you provide. The list of documents are many. You provided others, except you did not provide a current declaration of income and liabilities as at the making of the application using the prescribed form. What you gave us was a previous declaration you had made for the Court of Appeal, which is dated income for the period 20th January 2025 to 31st December 2025. You are
My
supposed
lady,
to
do I have your
fill in
permission to refer to
to refer to the,
a copy?
yes, I think that's the one I'm also referring to, the one you filed.
Yes, which page, my lady?
The one I have, show him. Yes, you have seen what I meant, that you are supposed to, when you were making the application, you were supposed to fill in that form for that period when you were applying.
Yes, my lady. I have been shown by the registrar. As you can see, the declaration is dated January 2026, I think, which is the date it was filled. And the status of the assets between the time I made the previous application and the time I made this application, the assets had not changed. And so that is the answer I have for that. Secondly, my lady, is that my understanding of it is that the world declaration intervals would be after 2 years, and but the declaration I had already made, I had labored under the impression was adequate to that extent. So those two reasons, my lady, that the assets had not changed, and secondly that it was still within the time of my last declaration.
Yes, you see, this was a requirement for the application, for every applicant.
Yes, my lady.
To complete that form, even though you had completed earlier, you should
Yes.
have just completed and said the assets are the same, completed and followed the instructions as per the advertisement.
Yes, my lady. My understanding is that I'm in compliance, although I stand to be corrected. My understanding is that I'm in compliance to the extent to which to the extent to which I've just explained in the answer I've just given, my lady.
Yes.
Let me not belabor the issue.
Very well.
Thank you.
So I think this brings us to the end of the interview this afternoon. Sorry it has been drawn over the time that we had dedicated, but I think the commissioners who are interested in proving your suitability. So this is the opportunity we give you also to engage us.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you very much for finding me deserving to be shortlisted, for the opportunity to appear before you, and for the courtesy you have extended to me in the questions asked. I want to say thank you very much and wish you well also.